What's up guys, Abdul here with another video, and thank you for clicking on this one. If you're wanting to film ceremony by yourself with multiple cameras, then you've definitely clicked on the right video. I've filmed about a handful of ceremonies by myself with multiple cameras. Most of the time 2 cameras, but today I'm going to talk about a 3-camera setup. I'm going to go over it quickly, and by the time I'm done, I'm sure you beginners will be shooting weddings, multiple cameras by yourself if you choose to. The only reason why I do it is because one, it's tough out here. The wedding business for filmmaking is tough. Like, nobody wants to pay wedding filmmakers. So if I'm not getting paid enough, I'm not going to hire somebody else. But I also want that multiple angle so I can show future clients that, hey, if you pay for a second shooter, I can have them and you'll get more out of the day. You know what I mean? So here's the gist of it. 100% of weddings I've filmed, the setup is like this. It doesn't matter if it's a church, a hall, a community center. You have seats over here and then seats over here. Most of the time, you have the very, very important people sitting at the very front, over here and over here. And then eventually the bride and groom with the officiant will be up here. But before that, there's always one entry point into that hall where the bride will come through. So it could either be here, here, or here. Let's just go ahead and say they're coming through here. Okay, so that means your safety camera, this is camera number 1, the most important camera of the day, is going to be here. So I'm going to put C1. C1 is going to be here, and it's going to look over this way. So make sure you're on a tall enough tripod in case one of these people decides to just stand up during the ceremony for no apparent reason, that you can still see over them. But make sure it's looking towards the bride and groom. It's wide enough that it can capture the wedding party in case there's like 10, 15 wedding party people. You just want to make sure you capture at least 2 or 3 of them. Because if all else fails and this is the only shot you have, then you have people in there. Typically for me, this safety camera number 1 is where I have my lav mic connected to. So the receiver will be plugged into that camera and the recorder would be on the officiant. So that is where I'll have my camera number 1 positioned opposite wherever the bride is entering with the wedding party. So my camera number 2, which is not a camera angle that I need, but since I had the room this time and I had the camera with me, I thought let me try it out, and it worked out well in my favor. There was enough space up here, so I put camera number 2. Again, camera number 2 is just something you try out. It's not something you need, but if it works, it works. So I put it here, and then I had somebody stand here where I know the bride will be standing after I talk to the officiant and the wedding party to see how they will be lining up. The groomsmen lined up like so, and whoops. And the bridesmaids, they lined up like so. Something like this. So I positioned the camera right here. Not too close to the people that are sitting here and not too close behind here. So that way I can still have the shot looking towards the bride. So I set that manual focus after I told somebody to stand there, and I set the manual focus perfectly. I don't know if I got lucky or it was just good planning. But I set the manual focus and it was there. And it recorded most of the ceremony for me. So that is camera number 2 where I would position it. Again, if the bride was going to be standing over here, then you would position it here. I think I'd rather get the bride's face than the groom's face. It's just a preference for me. You could do it how you want to. Now, camera number 3 for me is my Canon 80D on my monopod. So I stand on a corner here and I watch the wedding party walk their way up. From here or here, doesn't matter where they come from, I'm prepared because I'm standing right here. I see them coming down the entire way. I capture their faces, their emotions, anything they're doing, I'm there to capture it. This shot becomes super, super important because now you are in your own shot for camera number 1. So you don't want to move from this position until you capture everything that's happening down the aisle. That means if there's 50, 20, 30 wedding party people, you got to make sure you capture them all, including the bride. If the groom reacts to the bride coming down, let's say he cries or something, you better hope this camera captures it and you get lucky. Because that's a super shot. That's like $1 million shot if the groom cries and you catch it. I don't want to turn around to film him because I don't want to miss anything here. So this camera 2 over here comes in very, very handy. So once the bride makes her way up here with the groom and the officiant and the party is all lined up, this camera 2 is rolling, camera 1 is rolling. I already know how far ahead I can go to not be in camera 1's angle. So typically it's around here. So I'll stay behind this line here with camera 3. I never like to go at the very front anyways, because I feel like that's a bit too intrusive and I don't want to be in the way of anybody. So I stay down the aisle, but I don't go to the very, very front. So now with my camera 3, that becomes my favorite camera because I can get the bride and groom. If they're doing the ring exchange, I can get that shot. I can get their faces. I can turn the camera to focus on just one person, and then I focus on the other person. And if I want to get audience reaction shot, I can do that. I can turn around and capture audience here. As long as I don't go too far and not be in the way of camera 1, I am good. So typically, like I said, I stop here, but I can get different shots here. I can get moving shots because my monopod has a fluid head, so I can get a moving shot of the bride and groom with the officiant up here. And that's basically it for the camera setups. All 3 cameras are rolling. This over here is my GH4 because I trust it. Like I've mentioned in the previous video, if you haven't checked that out, I'll link it below and above. I talk about all the cameras I bring and my other gear that I bring on the day of the wedding. So the GH4 is here recording everything the entire time. My T3i is over here. I know that only records for 29 minutes, so I only start it when I know the wedding party is coming down. And then my Canon 80D here with typically at 85mm because I can move to get a close-up and I can move back to get a wide. So I don't want to deal with zooms, so I just keep that on there. But you can do what works for you. So in the instance that I want to abandon camera 3 for a second so I can come check my camera 1, I can walk down the aisle and check and make sure everything is going fine, that the audio is still going in there. I usually keep a headphone in that camera just to monitor it because my second audio is on the groom. I can't just go be like, hey, let me check the audio for a sec just to make sure it's still working. So this one that I can check the audio, I do make sure I check it. So I will leave my monopod here for a second recording the bride and groom, but I always tell the photographer, hey, watch out for my camera. Don't knock it down or don't get in front of it. Communicate it in a nice way. Communication is good, so that way everybody knows what's going on. So once they say their I do's, they sign their papers typically over here or somewhere over here, which I get the chance to follow with my monopod. They're ready to say, you may now kiss the bride. I'm still capturing it with my monopod. This camera 1 here is still rolling because I've checked it, I made sure. And as the wedding party is getting ready to come down, I'm speed walking down here, setting up here with my monopod, and I am watching the bride and groom come down, and then followed by the wedding party, capturing their faces, their excitement, and everything that's going on. So that is how I place my 3 cameras for this last wedding I did. It was the first time trying it out, and I think I want to do it again. So next time I charge for a wedding, I'm going to ask for a little bit of more money so I can have a second shooter that's going to be manning this T3i here so they can get the bride and groom shots for me. So check out my other video about the gear I bring. Like I said, I'll link it below. Thank you for watching this one. There will be a few more videos on this wedding filmmaking topic. So make sure you subscribe, share with people you think might benefit from this, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.